Going on, folks? Welcome to another episode of Jeremy Creates with your favorite educational technology personality, Jeremy at LegalAI. Now, today, what I have for you is a mentor that is basically just a go-to legal mentor. There are a lot of products on the market today, specifically for the legal sector, basically agents, bots that are trained on massive, massive amounts of legal information. So what we did was, if everybody else has one, I want one too. So we built one and it's awesome. Now, I already created this mentor. For time's sake, I'm just going to quickly run you through it. This is the LegalAI Mentor. It's basically a mentor that is AI powered, educational assistant designed to support law students in understanding the United States Code of Law. If you want to take a look at the system prompt that I created for it, feel free to pause at any time, but I'm just going to quickly scroll through. It is an expert in U.S. code law, and I specify that. Make sure to also specify that it needs to adhere to ethical and professional guidelines. Adaptability and context sensitivity. These are all important things when you are dealing with knowledge bases that are very specific and tricky. Things like medical school information, things like law school information, where you cannot parse words. There is no room for subjectivity. You need to be as accurate as possible, which is why that system prompt was so long. There are a lot of things that I need this mentor to consider. Now, for the data sets that I trained it on, the entire U.S. Code of Law is broken down by sections in the overall code, all publicly accessible. And what I did was I just hit add resource, selected URL, copy and pasted the URL from the U.S. Code of Law website, where you can see the URL right here, govinfo.gov, and just directly submitted them. And within, 10 minutes, because these Code of Law sections are so long, as you can see with these enormous token counts, it took about 10 minutes for the mentor to be able to train on all of them and consume that information, but really not that long in the grand scheme of things. Other organizations, when they're uploading training data to AI mentors or LLMs themselves, will take weeks, months, and sometimes years. So to be able to accomplish this in 10 minutes is truly a testimonial to IBL's innovation. And this is an example conversation that I already had with it. I started off real simple. Honestly, I don't know too much about law. So what I did was the system prompt mentor that I used to create this system prompt, as it was creating the system prompt, I also had it generate some very strong questions that actual law students would end up asking in an intro course or, just in the general course of their studies. So please brief me on the U.S. Code of Law. The mentor does exactly what I wanted to. It's a very quick snapshot overview of structure, positive law, updates and supplements, legal authority, etc. What are the key legal study resources, which is my attempt to see what the mentor is capable of outside of what I've trained it on. Because it's trained on the U.S. Code of Law, it has a pretty great comprehension of law within the U.S., just generally speaking, meaning it has the capability to answer questions related to studying U.S. codes of law. So what are some key legal study resources? Textbooks and casebooks, legal research databases, basically just listing a one-stop shop where students who are, interested in law or currently enrolled in law school can go and find resources, information that they need for their studies. To get a little more specific into the U.S. Code of Law, I asked, what is positive law in the U.S. Code? And this is a really comprehensive breakdown that the mentor gives me of what positive law is in the U.S. law code. And, this shows me that all of the information that I've trained it on, down to individual sentences within each one of those title sections, has been consumed accurately. So if I have a very niche and specific question about U.S. codes of law, the mentor is capable of pulling that directly from the training data and accurately answering my question. Now, because this is a more generalized mentor that's just, trained on U.S. law in general for students to use, we also felt it was a very important thing to include some example input prompts that students could use basically, if somebody is coming to the table like me, doesn't really know what to ask a legal mentor, they have a couple of options down here so that they can start the conversation, get the wheels turning, and start developing their knowledge. And in the future, we do plan on training this mentor on a ton more codes of law, both domestically and internationally. But for the purposes of just showing you a quick example of what we're working on so far, I think this is pretty great. And I think that the users who are going to eventually end up using this are going to think the same thing. Happy holidays.